Good morning, Little Masters, and welcome back to today's Tolkien Times. I'm the Man of the West, also from the Prancing Pony podcast, and we're continuing in a long-expected party. In fact, today we finish a long-expected party after 13 weeks in this cozy chapter. Then they went round the hall and evicted 3 young hobbits, 2 boffins and a bolger, who were knocking holes in the walls of one of the cellars. Frodo also had a tussle with young Sancho Proudfoot, old Odo Proudfoot's grandson, who had begun an excavation in the larger pantry, where he thought there was an echo. The legend of Bilbo's gold excited both curiosity and hope, for legendary gold, mysteriously obtained if not positively ill-gotten, is, as everyone knows, anyone's for the finding, unless the search is interrupted. When he had overcome Sancho and pushed him out, Frodo collapsed on a chair in the hall. "It's time to close the shop, Mary," he said. "Lock the door, and don't open it to anyone today, not even if they bring a battering ram." Then he went to revive himself with a belated cup of tea. He had hardly sat down when there came a soft knock at the front door. "Lobelia again, most likely," he thought. "She must have thought of something really nasty and have come back again to say it. It can wait." He went on with his tea. The knock was repeated, much louder, but he took no notice. Suddenly, the wizard's head appeared in the window.
"If you don't let me in, Frodo, I shall blow your door right down your hole and out through the hill," he said.
"My dear Gandalf, half a minute," cried Frodo, running out of the room to the door. Come in! I thought it was Lobelia."
"Then I forgive you. But I saw her some time ago, driving a pony trap towards Bywater with a face that would have curdled new milk."
She had already nearly curdled me. Honestly, I nearly tried on Bilbo's ring. I longed to disappear.
"Don't do that," said Gandalf, sitting down. "Do be careful of that ring, Frodo. In fact, it is partly about that I have come to say a last word."
"Well, what about it?"
"What do you know already?"
"Only what Bilbo told me. I have heard his story, how he found it, and how he used it. On his journey, I mean."
"Which story, I wonder?" said Gandalf.
"Oh, not what he told the dwarves and put in his book," said Frodo. "He told me the true story soon after I came to live here. He said you had pestered him till he told you, so I had better know too. 'No secrets between us, Frodo,' he said, 'but they are not to go any further. It's mine anyway.'"
"That's interesting," said Gandalf. "Well, what did you think of it all?"
"If you mean inventing all that about a present, well, I thought the true story much more likely, and I couldn't see the point of altering it at all. It was very unlike Bilbo to do so anyway, and I thought it rather odd."
"So did I. But odd things may happen to people that have such treasures, if they use them. Let it be a warning to you to be very careful with it. It may have other powers than just making you vanish when you wish to."
"I don't understand," said Frodo.
"Neither do I," answered the wizard. "I have merely begun to wonder about the ring, especially since last night. No need to worry, but if you take my advice, you'll use it very seldom, or not at all. At least I beg you not to use it in any way that will cause talk or rouse suspicion. I say again, keep it safe, and keep it secret."
"You're very mysterious. What are you afraid of?"
"I am not certain, so I will say no more. I may be able to tell you something when I come back. I'm going off at once, so this is goodbye for the present."
He got up. "At once?" cried Frodo. "Why, I thought you were staying on for at least a week. I was looking forward to your help."
"I did mean to, but I've had to change my mind. I may be away for a good while, but I'll come and see you again as soon as I can. Expect me when you see me. I shall slip in quietly. I shan't often be visiting the Shire openly again. I find that I've become rather unpopular. They say I am a nuisance and a disturber of the peace. Some people are actually accusing me of spiriting Bilbo away, or worse. If you want to know, there is supposed to be a plot between you and me to get hold of his wealth."
"Some people!" exclaimed Frodo. "You mean Otho and Lobelia? How abominable! I would give them Bag End and everything else if I could get Bilbo back and go off tramping in the country with him. I love the Shire, but I begin to wish, somehow, that I had gone too. I wonder if I shall ever see him again."
"So do I," said Gandalf, "and I wonder many other things. Goodbye now. Take care of yourself. Look out for me, especially at unlikely times. Goodbye."
Frodo saw him to the door. He gave a final wave of his hand and walked off at a surprising pace. But Frodo thought the old wizard looked unusually bent, almost as if he was carrying a great weight. The evening was closing in, and his cloaked figure quickly vanished into the twilight. Frodo did not see him again for a long time. 17 years, actually. Now, this was a slightly longer reading, so I'm going to keep this discussion portion a little shorter. I'll briefly mention that one of the early versions of this tale places that incident with Sancho Proudfoot later on, at the time when Frodo, who was then called Bingo, sells Bag End to the Sackville Bagginses as he departs the Shire. Now there, since the house belonged to Otho and Lobelia, Sancho's actually physically attacked by Otho, and Lobelia joins in, breaking her umbrella over Sancho's head. Okay, silly moment over. I want to get onto this bit where Gandalf says, "Which story, I wonder?" Now, I love this because it's a nod to the fact that the original version of Riddles in the Dark in The Hobbit had to get retconned. So somebody who, let's say, received The Hobbit as a 10-year-old child in 1937 would be 27 years old when The Fellowship of the Ring was published. They would definitely remember the story that Bilbo put in his book. And this explains why there was a difference between Bilbo's original version and the version that we're reading here, or in the second edition of The Hobbit. I often wonder what it must have been like to read these books as they were released. Now, folks, thank you for joining me for this week's Third Age Thursday. Come back next week as I commemorate Bernard Hill and his portrayal of Theoden by spending the remaining 3 weeks of this series reading the very best Theoden passages. Check out patreon.com/Tolkien Times to learn how you can support the show, get an ad-free feed, join my content council, get a bonus weekly episode, and more. And then join me again tomorrow on today's Tolkien Times for more from the Lay of Lathian on First Age Friday. If you're watching this on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Please follow or subscribe in your podcast apps, and follow @Tolkien Times on all your social media. Finally, as Faramir says, go with the goodwill of all good men.